started off with, and I know this is such a wide range of individuals on this panel, but they all have significance in being on this panel. What is legacy to you, and why should it matter to a small business owner? And any one of you can take it.
Okay, so for me, it was the fact that, I have children, I have two girls, and they are in their 30s, and then I have a 16-year-old, don't judge me. There was a point where I was like, okay, so what do I leave and what is my dash gonna say? So I wanted to make sure that my kids are involved. When I got to a pillar point, I really went into real estate investing, that I wanted to bring them in and teach them, because this is something that I can leave for them that it will be long lasting, and hopefully they can carry it on from generation to generation. So it was important for me to kind of bring them into it. And let me tell you, it's hard for a 16-year-old to get in, because he's in games and everything else. But as he started to get more involved, they start to learn a more like responsibility of just telling them is one thing, but showing him was a different thing, So at first it was hard, because he was like, I don't want to do it, I don't want to go, and I'm going to stay home. And then when he started wanting to go with me, he started asking more questions about it, and he was more interested. And so it's kind of like, it's a step-by-step thing to get him to where I need him to be, to understand what the end goal is. What I was sharing with you earlier is to bring it from his generation to his children and thereon. So that's what I think a lot of us don't talk about more of, is making sure, what do we leave when we leave here? What are we really going to leave? Shouldn't be just the monetary things and the jewelry and whatever you have, the house. It's leaving something that they can carry on from generation to generation, and it will last hopefully beyond. So now we can build wealth, our family, and things that I don't know about you, but I feel that we have been taken from us.
Interestingly, so I actually, with what I do on a daily basis, can help people to build wealth for their legacies. So again, a lot of people, when they think about insurance, they think about auto and home, but there's so many different strategies and ways that you can use different insurance products to help that legacy that you have. So again, making sure you have the right coverage with your business, so that your business does not face a devastation, right? So you are able at some point to pass that legacy down. Our legacy is what we leave. We work hard, right? We have established ourselves. Leave the legacy not only with your family, but leave it with others in the room.
I think the two of them summed it up pretty well. I would only add to it, how do you want to be remembered? Because I quit being a county administrator based on what I observed. And even though my firm handles probate litigation, we actually try to keep the families together. And I feel like county administration breaks families apart, and they all argue, mama or daddy would never want that, but that's exactly what they leave behind. It's just a very horrible picture that maybe we need more therapy. I'm talking to my therapist.
I like the fact that you're teaching my 16-year-old son, because I'm also teaching my 16-year-old son, because he's taking over our business. And I love breaking down all of the things about the business. How much revenue we're taking, how many expenses we have, where we can cut corners, where you have to invest more. But most importantly, I want people to get into, if you do not want to be an entrepreneur, everybody is not meant to be an entrepreneur, but you have to have multiple streams of income. You're going to get into real estate. You may have a home-based business. You may take and make the home-based business be something that has to do with real estate. You just have to create multiple streams of income, because no matter what job you have, you cannot leave that job to your children. So you want to have other mechanisms in place. And me and Kim were just talking before we got on this panel. Please make sure to mention, I had a term policy that I purchased when I was a 20-year-old. On my 50th birthday, I got back all of my premiums, but I've already had another whole life. So I just want people to put into place things that's going to give you money in life.
I like everything that was shared here today.
If I could add anything to it, I would say that when we think of legacy, we think of what we would leave, meaning once we have lived and we've gone. I'd like to say that my legacy, I want to be something that I can share while I'm living, and something we can all share with each other. And so I think of legacy as the capability and the ability to be able to share with each other, the ability to be able to do what we want to do. If we set our mind to do something, that with God's help and His will, we can do it. And that we can show other people, particularly our young children, and those who look up to us, that we can do it here in our life. So yes, we can leave a legacy, but we can also live a legacy.
Yeah, it's hard to add to what these ladies have said. But you know, when I look at it, one of the things, Chris and I took over his dad's practice. And you know, the thing that really impressed me was the reputation that practice had in the community. You know, I just met with a client that, you know, we sold practice unfortunately, but you know, she had gone with the people that bought us, and she said, it's not the same. It's not the same from Lloyd Company that I used to work with. The people don't care. All they worry about is that invoice and getting it paid. And you know, that's not good. So I think it's reputation also that we look at when we talk about legacy and what we leave to our kids. You know, and that's our goal, is to leave things for our kids.
That's really good. What legal, and I'm gonna start with you, Attorney Graham, what legal steps should a person, not just a small business, do in securing their legacy? And I know this is essential to what you do within your business.
Yes, make that as succinct as possible. You should have a paper trail. Everything you own, everything you invested in, your real estate, etc., and you should have it all in one place. I would also add, take a copy of your credit cards. And if you have extraordinary assets, create a spreadsheet, because you're going to need that information and it's easy to replace. That's the biggest thing that you can do. You'd be surprised about the number of people who pay me and they don't know what they have or how they want it to be handled. So I would start with creating a list of putting everything in the same place, because what I like to say to people is estate planning is not for you, it's for the people who are leaving behind. And I like to start with the premise of, if you ever have someone in your household that can't find the ketchup, what do you think happens when you pass away? It's really bad, because they don't, not only do they have to bury you and clean out your house and go through all your personal belongings, now they have to go through 400 purses and 300 pairs of sneakers, and it's very emotional. So what the estate plan does is just a guide to help them get through, because they're going to be a complete puzzle. So start keeping a record and have a conversation, because these fights in probate court are because you don't tell anyone what you're going to do or not do. So if you're going to disinherit someone, tell them. Because they will never believe that you would disinherit them. And dad, stop telling your kids 30 years ago, I'm going to give you the house and the car, because they don't forget that when you pass away. And then we go to court fighting over that one little thing that you stated 30 years ago. Put it in writing. Put everything in writing. Everything.
So we can just feed off that, and we just talk about the importance of having a will, a trust.
Yes.
And trust.
Absolutely. So when I started my practice 8 years ago, a lot of my practice, my whole story just has there's been a lot of things that brought me to this point. I had a friend that died many years ago from lupus, and she didn't have an estate plan, and I had to handle that. And then my grandmother passed away, and our family didn't handle that, so there were a little bunch of things that got me to this point of starting my practice when I was going to walk off from practicing law. And I used to talk about wills all the time. Fast forward 8 years, and I have gone to trial 5 times because of wills, because they can be contested and objected to. So yes, you pay somebody several $1,000s, you tell them what you want and how you want it done, and one of those family members who you didn't talk to will file a little $30 piece of paper and say, I object. That's all they have to say. And half the time, they don't even understand why they are objecting. So put a will in place if you can't afford anything else, but just be mindful of your family situation. If you have stepchildren or a husband with kids before you, a will is not going to make it. So I highly recommend a trust. A trust bypasses probate court. If you transfer all of your assets into the trust, nothing goes to probate court. Your family members don't know anything. So the reason you heard about DMX is because there was no trust plan or anything in place, and kids were still showing up when he died. But you never heard anything about Kobe Bryant's estate. Why? Because he had a trust for each and every child. That's the difference. You hear about everything going on. Gene Hackman, that was a horrible story. An $80 million estate, and all they had was a will leaving everything to each other. And now his 3 kids, they've already hired lawyers. They already hired lawyers and no healthcare. So yes, put a plan in place. Trust versus will. So will can work in certain situations, but talk to a professional so you understand when it works and when it doesn't. So I didn't push trust in the past, but now I do, because I'm tired of going to trial on a will. Because nobody wins. That's what people don't understand. No one wins those cases. What happens is a county administrator is appointed. It's going to take 2 to 3 years longer to get your assets because we have things that we have to do. You may sell a house and on an estate and turn the money over in 6 months, but that's because you didn't do anything you're supposed to do. You didn't pay the taxes, you didn't do inventory, you didn't notice the creditors, you didn't do anything. And so it takes us at least a year to get things started and moving. And if you have a bunch of heirs who didn't agree in the first place, and now I have to deal with those heirs to handle the rest of the state, it basically drags out to about 2 years. And of course, the county administrators are paid from the estate because they're putting out tons of money. I have an estate that I put out $20,000 out of my own pocket because of having to store assets, having to pay creditors, because the family wouldn't turn anything over to me, so we ended up having to pay $15,000 in credit card debt. If we got it started right away, we probably could have stopped that credit card debt. So yes, invest in a trust if you can, and for those who think it's not worth it, I won't go into, Ebony and Candace, they had very important points that I struggle with in my practice. I am given an extremely difficult time in my practice from us primarily, that I know what they would not do to somebody else, the way they question me and treat me. And I have to remind people, I have almost 30 years, I'm 57.
Wow.
And they constantly question me, so I have people call me for advice while they're actually paying another attorney to do the same thing, and they don't want to pay me. So that being said, going to trial will cost your family $13,000 up to $20,000, $30,000. So if you're paying $6,000 for a trust, that's a piece of cake compared to what your family is going to go through, because not only will your family, somebody in your family has to put that money up front before they can access your assets. But then your family is also going to be broken up just because you didn't put something in place. Because you putting something in place tells them exactly what you want. And I tell people, you can leave your assets to Cookie Monster, and your family will respect it. They want to respect the wishes of the dead. But if you don't put anything in writing, they each and every one make up a different story. So if you ever watched a group of people see the exact same car accident, they will be 10 different reports. That's what happens in probate court when you don't put something in writing.
Oh, good.
Real estate is an aspect in growing wealth and leaving a legacy. Talk a little bit about that and how to assist people in that space.
It's the same thing I talked about when I was introducing myself. I do the same thing. I tell them how important, like first we find out what are their goals in business, specifically real estate. What are your goals and what do you want to do with the real estate? Because there's so many avenues in real estate you can take. There's so many things that you can do. And so when we get down to that part and we dwindle it down and find out what they want, then we are talking about, okay, so what do you want to do after that? Once you get to this goal, what are you going to do to attribute to your family to make sure that everything's secure for them? Because if you have this goal and you're not doing anything with it, what sense does than me, you know, and we need to make sure that we're doing it. So because it's so important for us to build that generational wealth, I put that into my plan when I'm coaching my clients because that's part of what we meet. And so I wanna make sure that they understand how important that is also.
Thank you. The Honorable, Sabria, if you can, what type of filings does your office handle in just ensuring certain things are in place, in leaving legacies? Is there anything, is it just the real estate or is there a little bit of it?
So we handle all civil and criminal filings. So whenever there's a civil proceeding, for instance, adoptions, name changes, legitimizations, if you want to sue someone over a $15,000 amount, we receive all that civil. For criminal proceedings, those are usually cases that have been bound over from a lower court like magistrate or a state court. Those are felony charges that we hear, but those proceedings and the warrants come through our court. We also handle, in the real estate division, we handle the recordings of your, whenever a property is sold in this county, that recording is filed in our office. So the plats, the deeds, if a lien is placed on a property, the cancellation of the lien, all of that is handled in our office. Trade names, doing business as, all of that is recorded in our office. We also are the notary commission. So if you want to apply to become a notary, we process those applications in our office. What else? I'm sorry.
Well,
Those
it was
are
just primary
yes.
to what this panel does and what we're talking about. So you hit a couple things with the plans.
Yes.
And some of the deeds.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
And I know you were very interested in the filing activity notification system, which is the property fraud registry. And if you all are here, please grab a flyer off of our table in the back. But that's a registry system that helps prevent property fraud. And so you can register for that account, and it will literally send you notifications if someone tries to file anything against property that you own. And you don't have to be a resident of Henry County. You can be a resident of Georgia, anywhere in Georgia. So please get a copy of the flyer there or scan the QR code, create an account today, and help to protect your property.
And Kim, if you can give us, and I know we had a virtual, and there were some nuggets that I'd never heard of, and apparently Miss Yvette had already been taken advantage of. But some insurance vehicles for the families and small businesses.
Yes, so that's a big conversation, but I'm gonna try to make it brief, okay? Life insurance, at the end of the day, everybody thinks if I buy life insurance, I'm gonna die tomorrow. Well, the fact is you are gonna die, whether you have life insurance or not, it's gonna happen, okay? Two types of life insurance: term life insurance lasts for a certain amount of time, but there is an instrument where we will give you your money back if you haven't made the claim. And then permanent life insurance. Permanent life insurance is here for us today. It's here for when we pass away, right? It can help pay those costs, court costs. Hopefully you got that trust though, that you don't have to have it. But specifically when we talk about permanent life insurance, it has cash value in it. It has money inside of it. And so you as a person or a business owner, you were listening to the banks earlier, it gives you access to money that you don't have to qualify for. You don't have to have a great credit score because it's your money. What is also, life insurance is not an investment, but money inside of it does grow at a fixed rate. So it's not against the market, it's a fixed rate, it's guaranteed. You know that it's gonna be there for you. And so a lot of people people are oblivious to it. Again, they think that just life insurance, while it's very important, it does help when you pass away and give to your family. But there are certainly several strategies, that you could do with life insurance and also help creating, a legacy. If you guys have any children, please make a phone call, ask about life insurance. Your children are young, life insurance is cheapest when you are young. You are healthy when you're young. It is a game changer for your children. When your children go to open a business, guess what they have? They have access to money, right? They may, yeah, access to free money because it's been growing in there. And also, lastly, life insurance, you know, they were talking earlier in the financial panel, but that is an asset and you can present, or you can put on your sheet while you're telling your story, you wanna go borrow money, you can also let them know that you do have a life insurance policy with cash value in it, and they can include that as like income. So, it's just a lot of stuff that a simple life insurance policy can do.
So Yvette, and Hugh, well, Yvette first. What business steps must a small business, owner do to properly prepare and secure their legacy? That's for you, and then Hugh, I want you to follow up with, because you guys help with retirement, transitioning, what plans need to be in place. I feel like a lot of people don't plan for transitioning out of their business. What's the advice in that area?
They definitely have to have succession planning, so you have to earmark whether you're gonna pass the business down to an heir, or you're gonna sell the business to someone else. Now, if you're gonna do that, you gotta put into place someone you're gonna train to be able to do the transition in case you're not there to do the transition. So if you're not gonna, you have to also have the plan as well as somebody else trained to have the plan, and you need to have that plan in writing. Because of course, if you're not there and the person who was supposed to do the succession planning is somewhere else or not available, there's some type of written document that says, well, this business is a corporation, so now the corporation is gonna cease to exist. This is how much we value a corporation to be, so someone can sell it. You should have a business valuation to know how much of it. I mean, I think like every 5 years, you should try to get that updated. I mean, you could do it every year, but usually about every 3 to 5 years, have someone look at the business, let it know how much it's worth, and please have this information in writing.
You know, when you talk about the legacy, and it takes a lot of planning. It's just like when you start a business, Chris and I talk about it all the time, you almost need to have an exit strategy. What are you going to do? How are you going to get out of the business? And, you know, when you're talking about, most of us own small businesses, and if we're going to sell the business, what do we sell? Do we sell the stock in the business, or do we sell the assets? Most of the time we sell the assets, and we need to understand the tax implications. And what it's going to cost us when we sell that, and then what, if we get this lump sum of money, what are we going to do with it? You know, whether it's, you know, talking to us or some other financial advisor, you need to be able to say, okay, once I get this bucket of money, how am I going to turn it into a cash flow stream for my retirement? And that's where your financial advisors can come in. You know, if you don't have one, you know, you can talk to your bank, you can talk to your attorney. You know, there's so many people you can talk to help you make those plans to exit the business and exit it orderly. The other thing that happens, if you're going to leave the business to a child, you know, are there tax implications? Do you need income out of that business? Because you are the business in a lot of cases, and how do you get that income? So we need to look at that. One thing I wanted to talk about, mention a minute ago, when Ms. Graham was talking about the fighting. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to do some estate returns, small estate, $5 million, but there were like 6 kids. spent over $1.5 million fighting in the end to settle the estate. And I kept telling them, y'all are fools. You know, split the $1.5 million between yourselves and go off and be happy. So,
People
you know,
greedy.
when it comes to estate planning, and I really think we need to talk to our kids. Now, my wife and I are lucky. We only have one, so we don't have many people to talk to. Do we need a trust? Maybe, maybe not. But, you know, if you got multiple kids, you really need to start thinking about it. If you've got a second marriage or kids from another marriage involved, you know, really sit down and talk to someone. And, you know, we have people ask me all the time about trust and estate or wills and stuff. And I'm like, here's a phone number for an attorney. Go talk to them. Tell them your situation and make sure you understand what's going on. I mean, you know, my parents recently passed away in the last 5 years, and I didn't think it'd be a big deal, but, you know, we had fights in our family. So, and, you know, it doesn't affect us when we pass, but it's the kids, and then the kids are divided amongst themselves. I've got a brother and sister that won't even talk to each other because of the estate.
All right.
Wow.
So all of these items that need to be placed in writing, is there a recommendation for where they should be stored? Should they be recorded somewhere? Should they be in the safety deposit box? Where should they be? So, you know, what is the recommendation? And I'm gonna ask, you know, whoever wants to.
I can tell you what I've done. Well, the will, we've registered it with Fayette County, so they have a copy of it. The trust is, they already have a copy of it, so they know we already have it. My kids.
Okay, your kid. Okay.
So this is the reason why, because we have a host of different assets and we have grandkids. So the legacy plan that we have put in place where there's the rental properties in a certain amount of time, the kids will get the income, and then the grandkids will get the income, and then the great-grandkids are gonna get the income. All of that had to be put in writing, so no one would be any infighting, because you already know you got a 5-year plan, the grandkids got a 10-year plan, great-grandkids got a 15-year plan. You already know your money gonna stop at a certain time. Whatever, when you get it, make sure you do the right thing with it. So.
Where did you file it within Fayette County?
So, with the.
Probate or
with the.
probate? Is that probate?
Yes.
Okay.
Probate. So we took it there, and then I just put a copy of it in, and then when I got the plan and stuff together, I kinda like added the papers with the will. So they kinda don't know that the trust and all that plan is, but they think that whole stack of paper with the will and gave it to them. So I can have it somewhere other than the people who were involved.
I'm not the best at this, but something that I've done is, I have a safe, in my house, and it's you wanna get a fireproof safe or something, but in my safe, I have our wills, I have our life insurance policies, I have all of our vehicle titles, any property deeds or anything, and we keep that, in a safe in the house, and my boys are 18 and 19, praise God, they're legal adults, thank you, Jesus. I actually have taken them through, let's sit down, we open the safe, we go through all the documents in the safe, so they understand what that means. I have a TOD, it stands for pay on death, transfer on death. Your bank accounts, you need to have a transfer on death or pay on death. What that means is, well, this doesn't have anything to do with a POD or a TOD. It will immediately, if my husband and I pass away, my kids can immediately go and get access to the money in the bank. Because sometimes life insurance and other stuff, it's gonna take a little while before those checks come. So they're gonna need immediate access. I've got a lot of money in the bank, I want them to have it. That's just a little nugget, so go to your bank.
Oh, that's good to
Even
know.
if it's not your kids, give it to somebody, so somebody can have immediate access to your money. And they only get access if you pass away. But again, you gotta talk about this stuff, but we're guilty of not talking. I don't know why we don't talk, but again.
Talking today.
I sat my children down real. I call it showtime, right? When showtime comes, the lights are on, it's rough. It's really rough. My husband just lost his parents last year, and it's a real thing. You think you're prepared. I mean, my safe and all that, I think I'm prepared, my trust, and then, you're not prepared. So I have a safe with the house.
I would just add, their situations are extraordinary. From the 8 years of practicing this, I've never seen any family do this at all.
So that's Southern Crescent.
Yes. Yes, but I say, she's right about the beneficiaries. Banks don't tell you that anymore. I used to work in banking. I'm a former prosecutor. So you also don't want everyone to have access. So if you were in the next in line heirs is one thing, but I would not extend that to extended families. And your trust should never be filed with the probate court and the will. The whole purpose of the trust is to keep it private. So yes, you don't want that option, but you can file the will for safekeeping for $15 in the county of the court. And so I basically say keep your documents where you tell your family you placed your trust where you keep all of your important documents. In a safe deposit box in the bank, you will be a court order to access the safe deposit box. So you don't want to keep it there either. And so if you have stuff locked up, yes, just, every state law is different. So New York will let you into the bank if, but the bank, power of attorney is completely irrelevant. That's the state, thank you for bringing it up. Powers of attorneys are null and void when the principal dies. It is the will or the estate that kicks in after that person dies. And a lot of people get in trouble for that. Everybody thinks you can continue to use a power of attorney. That's a whole different program. Because powers of attorneys are right with fraudulent in the whole family. It's all, think about all the crimes that happen. It's always somebody you know. It's always somebody you know. Yeah.
So, one other thing you need to think about is if you set up a trust, and you might want to talk about this in the spring, I see it a lot. People don't retitle their assets, or they'll leave their IRA or 401k to the trust, which is a big mistake because that bypasses the inheritance laws of where you can stretch it out over 10 years for heirs right now. So, it's very important to talk to someone when you set up these trusts, what assets need to be titled, and which one should go into the trust, which one should be paid on death or transferred on death, etc.
Man, we had a
Y'all
whole.
see why this legacy is so important.
That was good.
Did you want to add to the retitling?
He pretty much covered it. You have attorneys who will do it for you and will do it for you, but people don't want to pay. And we are thinking about making it mandatory because I had a 90-something-year-old couple that we worked really hard with the family. I drove all the way out to Congress, which I don't do, and worked very closely with the family. And I was on the phone with them when they went to the bank. The dad passed away the next year, like that same year. Everything was straight, but you still have to transfer everything from the dad to mom. That's what he was doing. I was on the phone with him. 2 years later, mom passed away, and we're learning he didn't actually put any of her assets into the trust. And so now he's going through probate court with 8 siblings, and the whole purpose of the trust was to avoid probate court. And you try to tell them they don't want to pay you extra, so I'm thinking about making it mandatory. There are firms who make it mandatory, but again, I have to fight the people who don't want to pay $6,000 versus $8,000, what have you, and it costs money because funding the trust means I have to call Charles Schwab for you and get the forms. I have to call Wells Fargo for you and get the forms. I have to call all of your assets and get the forms.
Bro, that takes time.
Etc. We have to do all of that work.
I have one question for you. When certain counties in the state, if you're a certain age, and I'm not that age,
Good to know.
you can get by without paying the school tax.
Yes.
So if it's put into a trust, does that,
You have to reapply.
you have to reapply?
You still have it, but it will be discontinued when it's transferred into the trust. You can reapply and get it back.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
This is a panel by itself.
No, for real.
Okay. Is there anything else that you individually want to leave with the audience in securing their legacy, their family's legacy, their business legacy, their personal legacy?
Please use the Georgia notification. Just recently purchased some rental properties, and I immediately got a notification that someone had filed a deed in my name. Like, whenever they recorded it, they sent me a notification from it that said, hey, we see that you have 2 deeds in your name in Columbia County, do you need to check on that? And I was like, oh, so it does work. I had registered for it like a year ago when it first came out. And I was just like, oh, I never heard anything, so I never thought anything about it. But as soon as I bought those new rental properties, they immediately sent me a notification that someone had recorded a deed under my name.
That's true, because in New Orleans, they're doing that too. People are forging names and stuff, and you don't even know that they are saying that they're the owner of your property. And then, you may not know if you don't check it out on a regular basis, and then you go to try to sell it or whatever you have to do, and then you see it. And they actually they own it. You have to go through all of this hard work of trying to, get it back to your name. And it's not easy in New Orleans to do that. And that's been a problem. It's been such a problem that it's made the news, that people are doing that, so.
Wow.
That's why
Wow.
homes into trust became such a big thing, because a lot of older people who usually had no mortgages, people were out quick claim deeds and stealing their property.
That's why you said Okay, so y'all leave something for everybody.
All right, you want me to start?
Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things, there's a lot of professionals out there. I have clients coming in all the time and said, I read this, or somebody told me that. And really, you need to go to a professional, whether it's a CPA, an attorney, or, in some other area that can help you make the decisions that are required to set up your legacy, to transfer the way you want to. So reach out to the resources. Don't always believe what you read on the internet.
I'll just say that in addition to the QR code, which leads you to the fans website to register for the property fraud registry, we also have a QR code to our website. Please check that out. We have a section how to. We have all information about our office and the services that we provide. One of the things that I find most challenging about my position is that I constantly have to find myself in a position of saying, one, I'm not an attorney, but if I was, there is Georgia law, which is OCGA 15-6-52, and I know it off the top of my head, which says that as clerk of Superior Court, I cannot provide legal advice. So even if I was an attorney, I couldn't provide legal advice. And people don't like to hear that because they like to call our office all the time and say, well, what should I do, and how should I do this, and which form should I fill out, and which petition, and which this, and which that, and our staff can't help you with that. And it's not that we don't want to. We have it all there for you, but it just means that you need to seek legal advice from an attorney. So, if you would check out our website, and you would learn on your own or do the research on what you need to do, or seek the legal advice of an attorney, we are there to provide whatever services you need.
I just want to take a moment to add EAs to the conversation when we talk about taxes, financial things. We always hear CPA, attorney, but I'm an enrolled agent. I represent people in front of the IRS who have IRS issues. I study IRS code. A lot of us, we go to college, we get MBAs, we do all of these things, and you always hear, but EAs know tax code. That's what we study, and we have a federal license to do so. So I just like for when they have the conversation that you add EAs to the conversation, because we have just a unique skill set when it comes to knowing how you can get your money, how you can get it for free, how you never tax some stuff that's taxed never. How you gonna make sure you pass all of those things? And not to take anything away from CPAs, because CPAs are my gate openers, but a lot of times they don't deal in taxes. They deal with auditing, you know, they do a lot of auditing, like we do auditing, but on an IRS level. So we wanna add EAs to the conversation, because sometimes you may say, you hear the word CPA, but every CPA doesn't do taxes. Every CPA doesn't do everything, and you may get the wrong CPA, and then you have to find another. And then you have to come see me.
And if that wasn't clear, enrolled agents will represent you in front of the IRS, CPAs will not. And
They
as of-
can.
Oh, they can?
They
Oh,
can,
okay.
but they don't like to.
As of January 1st, you have to upload your identification before you file a deed in Georgia now. And what I would leave with you is, what is the point of accumulating your real estate, your insurance, your cash assets, your real estate, your stock, et cetera, if you don't put a plan in place for someone to receive it when you're gone?
Awesome, only because that asked me, I will just also bring up, we talked about a return of premium term life insurance policy. It is a short-term policy that if at the end of the term, the claim has not been made, you haven't passed away, all of the premiums that you paid get returned back to you. So big lump sum check, a lot of our customers, we help them to now use that for retirement and investment strategies. So that is another kind of way you can set up for retirement. So I wanna make sure that I did touch on that again. But if anything, I wanna leave with you guys, I think that we have spilled a lot of good nuggets. I know when I hear panels, it's like, oh my God, what do I do? Just take one or two things that you heard today in the panel, on this panel, and put it in place, whatever that is for you. And then commit to doing something else, maybe a couple of months later, okay? But my point is, don't leave here and do nothing. Please do something. There's, REO always comes with the wealth, the knowledge, the connections, the people. And so, as a business owner, I know how important that is to get advice, to ask questions. You are not out here by yourself. You do not have to do it alone. If you choose not to follow up, that's on you.
I just wanna leave that, I mean, having assets is a great thing to have, it's a great feeling to pass on to your family and your kids and generations, but making sure that we take these steps that they talked about today and make sure we do those things so that they are passed on the right way, that there are not all these problems that they're saying that could happen. And so while we're at it, and I have the plug here. So I have the prescription to flip and rent and win. It's only $10. It's an easy read, and if you want to flip a house and learn how to, then I have some books for you and I'll sign it. But in order to be able to have to do this is one way, and a great way to do it is real estate.
All right. This is a lot of great information, oh my Lord. So, we will take a photo, and we are pretty much wrapped. We have a little something after this, but we are going to wrap for the day. Thank you.